I'm Andrew, the new guy, and today in gameranx we're here to talk about 5 smaller yet awesome games from April 2017 that you should check out. Starting off at number 5, we have Mr. Shifty. So imagine Hotline Miami, but you have Nightcrawler powers and you get Mr. Shifty. You'll be playing as a thief named Mr. Shifty, which is a very weird name to go by, and you have Nightcrawler-like teleportation powers, and you're breaking into one of the most secure towers around and taking on wave after wave of enemies. Yep, that's the plot. That's really it. This isn't a game that you're going to be playing for the story, it's all about the gameplay. The game really does keep you on your toes. There are turrets, mines, laser grids, and also areas that stop your ability to transport. It really does play as a more fast-paced Hotline Miami, which I didn't think was possible for a game like that to play any faster, but Mr. Shifty figured out how to pull that off. You're getting a quick 3 to 4 hour campaign here, but it's a non-stop action-packed campaign that's a lot of fun. And next up at number 4, we have Graceful Explosion Machine. This is a 2D shoot-'em-up game on the Nintendo Switch. You'll be flying around tight maps, taking on waves of enemies, and trying to keep combos going. If you've seen any gameplay for this game, you know that it looks pretty hectic, and that's because it is, at least once you get a little bit past the beginning. There's always multiple different types of enemies coming at you, and you'll have to switch between your 4 weapons. You have a blaster that overheats pretty quick, but doesn't use much power, an energy sword that has a 360-degree attack that's great for destroying enemy bullets and dealing with crowd control. You also have a longer-range sniper attack and a burst fire missile attack. But you have to be careful to balance all your attacks carefully, because you could go through all your power and be stuck with nothing but your blaster that overheats pretty quick, so you really have to make sure that you're timing your attacks perfectly and keeping enough power in your power gauge to make a quick escape. It also makes use of the Switch's HD Rumble feature, and you can feel the difference in small and bigger explosions. Also, the name of the ship you're piloting is actually named the Graceful Explosion Machine, and what a name for a ship. The game also looks beautiful, it's super bright, and it's just really nice to look at. And next, at number 3, we have Flint Hook. Flint Hook is a roguelike action platformer where you play as Captain Flint Hook, and you'll be exploring procedurally generated spaceships looking for treasure. It has a retro look of games like Shovel Knight and Rogue Legacy, so if you're a fan of how those games look, you'll love the look of this game. And seeing that it is a roguelike, the game does have permadeath, and it can be pretty challenging at times, but you have a few tools at your disposal to help you get through levels. You have a blaster pistol, the ability to slow time, and a grappling hook, which you'll be using a lot. You also have full 360-degree control over your blaster pistol, so you can take on enemies from any direction. The game also has a ton of pretty challenging but also fun boss battles and a bunch of secrets to find that are hidden throughout the levels. Also, Captain Flint Hook himself just looks really cool. I think he's a pretty well-designed character. And moving on to number 2, we have Little Nightmares. Let's just get this out of the way. This game just looks creepy and gross, but that shouldn't make you want to not play it. It's creepy and gross, but in like a Tim Burton kind of way. It's a side-scrolling platformer horror game where you play as a 9-year-old girl named Six, and you're trying to escape a place called the Maw, which is an underwater vessel filled with these creepy, nightmarish-looking things, like literal nightmares. Everything here looks really creepy and unsettling, and of course all those creepy dudes are so much bigger than you, which makes them that much more terrifying. And it's these nightmares that you'll be running and hiding from all throughout the 5-ish hours long campaign. It's kind of like a really scary-ass game of hide and seek when you think about it. Anyway, you start from the very bottom of the maw, and you're going to be working your way up to the top, trying to escape. All while solving different puzzles, platforming across levels, also avoiding these big, nightmarish-looking creatures. Little Nightmares is very reminiscent of games like Limbo and Inside. Like, it has that same creepy feeling, and you're just a kid who's always on the verge of just getting killed. So if you like Inside and Limbo, this game might be right up your alley. And finally, at number 1, we have What Remains of Edith Finch. This is the second game from Giant Sparrow, the team who made The Unfinished Swan. You'll be playing as Edith Finch, and you'll be exploring the Finch house, learning about your family history, and trying to find out why she's the last Finch alive. Each story you experience will focus on whichever family member lived in the room you're currently in, but it takes place on the day that they died. And while it isn't a horror game, there is an eerie vibe that goes along with the game. The house itself isn't really scary or spooky, it just feels unsettling and empty, and it's just kind of uncomfortable to be there. And while it isn't a horror game, there is an eerie vibe that goes along with it. The house itself isn't really scary or spooky, it just feels very empty and very unsettling to be in. But if you aren't in the mood for a very sad, depressing game, this game might not be for you. Me personally, I like sad games, and this game just looks so interesting and so beautiful, and if you were into the Unfinished Swan, this is definitely a game that you're going to want to check out. And those are 5 smaller yet awesome games from April 2017. But I want to hear from you guys. Meet me down in the comments and let me know what you think. Have you played any of these yet? Do you plan on playing some of these games? And is there anything that we may have missed? I want to know. As I'm sure you already know, hitting that like button really helps us out, and subscribing to the channel is a great idea because we put up videos like this every single day, and the best way to get them is with a subscription. And once again, I'm Andrew the New Guy. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time right here in GameRanx.